Today I am with you with the last part of a chapter, Barin Bhaumik's ailment. As in the previous two lectures, I told you about the story how Barin Bhaumik was suffering from a particular disease. He happens to meet a stranger which he never expected in his life, and first of all, he tried to conceal his identity because he was very much afraid. Because of his kleptomania, he stole some of the things from that fellow. He was not able to recognize his exact name, but he was just thinking whether his surname was C, maybe Chatterjee, maybe something else. But then, during the conversation, when the fellow passenger said how he lost his Swiss clock, now this was something which was very alarming, and Barin Bhaumik was absolutely, he became scared because he then asked hesitatingly, did you not look for your Swiss clock? The person said that no, I could never meet that person, the thief, but had it been, I would have given him a lesson because I am a light heavyweight champion. Now there is an element of humor in it, and Baran now was very much afraid of his plight because he was thinking any moment he's caught, he might be he might get boxing from a light heavyweight champion. Now, in the next part, that is the concluding part of my lecture, I would just tell you what all happened with Baran. Baran could now remember the full name of his companion, Chakravarti, Pulak Chakravarti. Strange. The minute he mentioned boxing, his name flashed in Baran's mind like a title on a television screen. Pulak Chakravarti had talked a lot about boxing the last time. But even if his name had not come back to him, what good it do? After all, it was Baran who was the culprit. Now he then in this state of mind, Baran started thinking of giving back the clock to his fellow passenger. And he said that how should he do it? No, was he going mad? How could he entertain such thoughts? He was a famous vocalist. How could he admit to having stooped so low? Would his reputation not suffer? Would anyone ever invite him to sing at the function? What would his fans think? All these questions, they kept on disturbing his mind. He was ready to accept his crime or his guilt, but there was a problem, there was a pressure in his mind because he now at this moment was a celebrity and people had a lot of appreciation for him. He was very much famous. Everybody looked him with great awe and surprise. So he was just thinking whether this disclosing or admitting of his guilt would bring a reversal effect on his image. Perhaps there was no need for it. Perhaps he would be recognized anyway. Pulak Chakravarti was giving him rather odd looks. Delhi was still 16 hours away, and there was very chance of being caught. All these things kept on disturbing. And then he said, the Pulak Chakravarti was staring hard at the face he had seen 9 years ago. The look of amazement in his slightly hazel eyes was slowly turning into a look filled with anger. His lips were putting in a slow, cruel smile. Ah, ah, he seemed to be saying, you are the same man, are you not? Good, I have waited all these years to lay my hands on you. Now I shall have my little revenge. Now, all this conversation was only the assumed conversation. Actually, the fellow passenger did not say anything, but Barin was thinking that he must be saying all these things to him the moment he recognizes or the moment he acknowledges his guilt. By 10 p.m., Barin had acquired a fairly high temperature and he was shivering. He called the guard for extra blanket and he was shivering hard, he was trembling, and he covered himself from head to foot with both blankets. Now, then Pulak Chakravarti closed the door of the compartment. He asked, "Are you unwell?" Baran swallowed the tablets. Now, then he thought that since he's not well, might Baran would spare him and he would not punish him ruthlessly. Again, Pulak started reading a book. He had a paperback open in his hand, and then suddenly Baran noticed Pulak's eyes were no longer fixed on the book because he was looking at Baran. And Baran quickly closed his eyes. Again, he glanced at Chakravarti. Yes, he was still staring hard at Baran. Now, the looking and the staring of Baran again gave a, I would say, a shock to Baran, and his heart jumped like anything and it came into his mouth. He could listen to the heartbeats of his heart matching the rhythm of the wheels, which the storyteller, which the writer has beautifully described. Lub dub, lub dub, lub dub. That is, the rhythm of the wheels was matching with the heartbeats. And then slightly when Baran saw that Pulak Chakravarti has switched off the light and he is sleeping, Baran's heartbeat gradually returned to normal. And then he said his shivering also stopped because of the medicines and anything something else. He then tried to sleep. But again, he was just thinking, now how could he sing? How could he, because his voice was also not clear and his performance would be a failure. Then how would he do it? Then next morning when he woke up, he was awake by the sound of a teacups. Waiter had come with the breakfast. It was bread, butter, and omelette and tea. And then he looked at Pulak Chakravarti and looked at him. Where was he? He thought that he must have gone to bathroom, and or maybe in the corridor. Now this was a golden chance for Baran, and Baran thought that now instead of saying anything, he can take out the clock and put back into Baran's